I ended up working on the outcome of the Family Violence Royal Commission, and the Orange Door was the major project for us as government. We were set the task of opening up 17 hubs across the state of Victoria that were the access points for domestic violence. Female and male victims of domestic violence, perpetrators, which was highly contested,
Yeah.
and vulnerable children. And it would all be the front door of access to services for this cohort, which respectfully should be mentioned, that came out of the death of Luke Batty and at the hands of his father through a domestic violence situation and a mental health situation. And so this change was so enormous at a worker level, to have workers who worked with female victims, who worked with perpetrators, and then those who worked with vulnerable children. And they all took their corners.
Yeah.
And it was very, very hard for them to then look at the nucleus of who was the most vulnerable of that cohort, which was the child. The child was the most vulnerable. And we had enormous conversations to try and implement a risk framework that would keep everyone safe, but ensure that the child was never lost in the process. And that was another layer of learning that nothing else could have taught me. The culture and the philosophies that people align themselves to in a workplace is so strong that we had workers pushing back when we said, when are you as the mother's worker going to speak to the father?
Yeah.
And I go, no, what do you mean? We don't talk to fathers. We work with the mothers. We work with women. And I'm going, but that child's got a father, and it's a biological father or a stepfather, and that's part of that child's world. And
Yeah.
that was an enormous conversation that people literally left the job over in some instances.
Yeah.
So it was a revelation that from an organisational perspective and an industry perspective, that a change of that calibre was going to take 5 to 10 years to see it embedded and enshrined as a framework, that the child is at the nucleus of the work, and then the family, and then the extended family, and then the kith and kin network in a real way. Academically, we know it, we say it.
Yeah.
But to actually see this change in action when we co-located these three areas that were all related to one another from a family violence perspective, it brought out all of the biases and the blockages and the difficulties that were some of the challenges of actually getting the outcomes that would lead people to be in a safer place and maybe even to work into their potential.